The RC Bandito just keeps getting better and better. I've been having so much fun with this vehicle ever since it came out, and in this video I want to show you guys a few tricks that I found with it that I didn't go over in my initial in-depth guide. But to start things off, I want to let you guys know that I still have not found a method to open the interaction menu. It just seems to be completely random when it happens. However, there are a couple options from the interaction menu that you can use in the Bandito regardless. So if you're driving the Bandito and you pause the game and go to online, then options, you can enable passive mode, which is a pretty big deal because you aren't actually able to spawn the Bandito in if you're in passive mode. And since the interaction menu only works randomly, this is the only reliable way to activate it. You can also choose the easy way out, but it basically does the same exact thing as exiting the Bandito, so there's really no point there. Did you also know that it's possible to use the phone while driving the RC Bandito? This is a little more extensive than the previous trick because on console you aren't going to be able to do this with the default control scheme. And the reason being that it requires you to hold down on the D-pad to bring up the character selection screen, and then while holding that down you have to press up on the D-pad to bring up the phone. And it's impossible to press and hold down and up on the D-pad at the same time, at least on the Xbox One controller. In order to make the gameplay that you're seeing now on Xbox, I had to reconfigure my controls in the settings and make the RB button used to bring up the character selection screen instead of down. So in console, it's kind of a nuisance to do, but I just wanted to let you guys know that it is possible to do in case you have a controller with paddle buttons on the back. That will make it a lot easier, or if you're on PC, it should be really easy by default. Alright, now we're going to get into the most interesting and arguably broken mechanics with the Bandito. So in normal vehicles, to use the radio, you hold left on the D-pad, right? Well, in the Bandito, you can use the radio by holding down both down and left on the D-pad. And now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how is that broken in the slightest? Well, this single mechanic is the stem of a much larger glitch with this vehicle. So go ahead and hold down and left on the D-pad again to bring up the radio, and then I want you to press Y or triangle on PS4, and while you do this, keep holding down on the D-pad. And you'll notice your character will now be outside of the RC Bandito. When you're on foot, you have to hold down on the D-pad with the character selection menu open the whole time, or else the game will kick you out of the RC car back to normal gameplay. To get into another vehicle, you have to walk up to it. I recommend using first person on foot and playing claw with your left thumb on the D-pad and your left index finger moving forward on the analog stick. Once you get to the vehicle you want to enter, pause the game and make sure you're still holding down on the D-pad. Then unpause and immediately press Y or triangle to get in the vehicle. You'll have about a second between the game unpausing and the character selection screen appearing again, where you're able to use any normal functional buttons that you normally aren't able to do while the character selection screen is up. Once you're in the driver's seat of the vehicle, you can then release the D-pad and drive around normally. If you look at the minimap, you'll notice that it still shows the location of the RC car on the map and not your location. That's because right now you're still in the RC Bandito driver state. If you press the detonate button, you'll hear beeping like you would in the RC car, except you're not in the RC car. And if it gets blown up when you aren't holding down the D-pad, it's going to kick you out of the glitch. Because the game thinks you're in the Bandito, vehicle weapons that require the A or X button will never work, and vehicle weapons that require L1 or LB will only work if you hold down on the D-pad. You are also off the radar for the entirety of this glitch for the same reason that you're in the RC Bandito driver state. Oh, and I can't forget this. To other players, you are in God mode, and although you can see yourself walking around, you are invisible to other players, as you can see, or should I say, can't see in the gameplay. On foot, it is possible to use weapons, but it's really a process. So all of this that I'm about to say needs to be done while holding down on the D-pad. You want to pause the game, then unpause, and in the split second you have, you need to switch to the weapon that you want to take out, and this might take multiple tries depending on how far you have to scroll through the weapon wheel to get it. Then you need to pause and unpause again, and fire that weapon in the split second you have, and rinse and repeat. Honestly, using this for on foot is going to be really hard to do anything with because of the lack of control you have over your character, and after a while it really starts to hurt your fingers from having to hold down the D-pad the whole time. The main thing that this glitch is useful for though is driving the Bandito to your properties safely off the radar. Simply drive up to the blue circle and use the method I went over to get out of the car. Then right when you go into the cutscene in the blue circle, you want to let go of the D-pad and then press enter on the property. Timing is key here. If you wait too long before releasing the D-pad, the game will put you back where you called in the RC Bandito. But once you do it correctly, instead of spawning where you called in your RC car, you'll be in your property. Now it doesn't work for every single property. I know hangars don't work, I don't think businesses work, but apartments and offices definitely do. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful and you learned something new. If you did, feel free to leave a like, as well as subscribe to my channel for more guide and PvP related content, and as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.